Ma'am,
So
in the last we have seen how we do the planning of our any construction project.
okay, planning of construction activities. Okay, so like only why it is necessary or like, in detail. We started with the planning of construction activities and the different classifications of planning that which is currently used in the construction sectors. And then after that, any one of you, do you know where we started the different types of breakdown structures which we started with? Different types of breakdown structures is nothing but our organizational breakdown structure, work breakdown structure, and cost breakdown structure. We started with our work breakdown structure. So let me start this. Yeah, I think we have completed this work breakdown structure. Do you remember this flow chart? Yes or no? Do you remember this flow chart? Work breakdown structure. Yes. Any one of you can you answer? I'm not able to hear your voice. Is this visible to you? The slide visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So we saw what is work breakdown structure. Previously, we saw different. These are the different types that we saw. It is hierarchical project structure, a WBS, OBS, and CBS. WBS is the work breakdown structure. This breakdown structure is nothing but you have the entire main domain here. From that, it's going to be like a family tree or the list of classifications that you have under each and every specifications or the projects or the different kind for different kind of activities. What are the works to be done? What the structure is required and how the costs are going to be classified. So these are the different types we saw. And we started with the breakdown structure. So hierarchy, nothing but uh, it's nothing but just cutting your works into split ups and you're giving it. For this, okay, we have completed this. It's nothing but the work breakdown structures example. And now we are starting with the organizational breakdown structure. Organizational breakdown structure is nothing but the decomposition of necessary resources to perform the job. You know, it is an organization with who are the officials and how they are classified. It is going to be the entire framework or the structure that which we are following. From the low level, you can consider that maybe the lowest level of your organization may be your security guards or maybe your low level unskilled laborers. They are at the low level. And you have middle levels also. People who are in the middle level going to be your engineers or your architects or your accountants. So those people are going to be in the middle level, and who are in the high level people in the high level are going to be your directors or the maybe your managing directors or CEOs or your boss. They are going to be the high level officials. So from the top level till the bottom level, the entire thing you're going to cover it. That's called the organizational breakdown structure. Identification and organization of resources responsible with carrying out activities associated with that particular job or the project. OBS is used to keep track of specific work assignments and resource allocations. And this is one such example for the organizational breakdown structure. We are considering a project management team here where it has so many people involved. You have the project manager as the team leader there, and under him you have the construction superintendent and field inspector, office manager, scheduler, accountant, and field engineer. So people who are going to be working in the office is going to be your project manager and your office manager, your scheduler, your accountant. These people will be working in your office, and who are working in your site is going to be a construction superintendent. This person will be in both your office work as well as in your field work. Similarly, your field inspector at the field and your field engineer. These people are going to work in your, in your on-site construction. Next is the cost breakdown structure. Breakdown of cost of various components of the structure, including all work done by the subcontractors, serves as a basis for subsequent monthly pay request by the contractor. So this is a cost breakdown. So by this in end of this month, how much amount you have to pay or how much amount is in due, how much you have to pay for your equipments or your manpower, that is the agencies or the contractors where you are requiring manpower from, maybe your skilled, unskilled laborers. So the entire team you are going to pay. So that per monthly pay request and the amount you pay, so that categories are going to fall under your cost breakdown structure. Used to continuously compare cost as they actually occur with the budget. So you have some tentative budget for the, you'll be having the list of activities and their estimated cost. So for the month of March, probably you'll be requiring some 10 lakhs to carry over your activities, construction activities. For that, you will be monitoring the tentative amount you require is 10 lakhs, and also you'll be monitoring how much have been used, how much amount has been incurred for this particular March. That may be either 8 lakhs or that may be 12 lakhs or 13 lakhs. So it is going to be vary and it may not be the same. So that you will be monitoring. Continuous monitoring only you can compare the cost. The estimated budget and the current budget is going on track. That should be always on track. You should be monitoring it frequently. And these are the effective combinations of our hierarchical work structures. So this is the different types of structures that we're going to combine. Like once you combine, you'll be accomplishing some different type of tasks. So when you combine work breakdown and your organizational breakdown, you will be able to assign the task for that particular individual. You know what is work breakdown. So you have different classifications of work under it. Simultaneously, you know what is organizational breakdown structure. You have the officials who are working or the employees who are involved in that particular operation. So now you are going to combine this both. When you combine the work as well as the officials, so you will be able to know who is going to perform which type of category, which type of category of job. And next is your cost breakdown and your organizational breakdown. When you're combining or summing up your cost and your organizational or your officials, that time you will be able to monitor the budget. So budget monitoring of the crews, for which department how much amount is required. For the planning department, how much people are required and how much they have to be paid. And when it's come for execution, how much materials is required. So you'll be classifying all those things. The purchase team as well as the execution team, that you'll be estimating and you'll be able to monitor the budget. Next is going to be your organizational breakdown structure plus the schedule. When you combine these two activities, you will be able to assign the time specific for this March month. This team has to work here and complete this task. Only then the next probably your team B or team C will be able to start on with their works. And next is the cost, but cost breakdown plus the schedule is equal to cost monitoring. When you're combining your schedules with your cost, you will be able to analyze the progress of the cost that is incurred in your organization. That may be either requirement for the equipments or the materials or the manpower or any other probably the land lease or whatever thing you take, that will be you'll be able to monitor the entire cost. So these are the effective combinations. You should always remember this. This is very, very important effective combinations. Like it's nothing but no need to memorize it, but you have to understand the concept. Like what will happen if you're in a particular thing, you are going to assign the task. What you require, you should know what are the different types of job or the work that is going to take place, and you should know who are the officials or the employees who are going to work. Classifications of employees. So when you combine this both, you will be able to assign the particular job to that particular individual. So this is what you have to understand. And next is the methods of planning. When the planning of a project is undertaken, a host of questions arise. That's true. Why we should do this planning? as we discussed in the previous class, so many gave an idea like why we should do. Should know what's the budget and what's the time limit and who are there and what's the resource that we have in hand and what we don't have. Whether the within the budget it will be falling in or you have to go for extra loan or any other method of hiring amounts or the finance that you have to take care. So you have so many questions whether this project will be working out or not. When you start working on planning, you have to start your plan. Only then you will be able to come out with the solutions of this. How should the work be accomplished? So you need to construct a house. How we are going to do that work? For that, you should know what are the resources that will be needed. And if you have some resource or you're already working on, you have completed the project A and you're going to the project B, that time you have to analyze what are the resources existing and what you still require and how long it will take. Similarly, how much it will cost. Without the estimate of cost, I cannot go blindly go and sit telling that I'm going to construct a house. That's not fair. I should know like tentatively how much amount I require. Probably for the construction of a single BHK or a double BHK, I'll be requiring some 20 lakhs to 30 lakhs. So that I should know basically. So what are the different activities that should be carried out and which activity will be requiring which amount? I mean, a certain quantum of amount. That amount you should be able to arrive tentatively. Only then you will be able to like overall you'll be able to come with the estimation that you require some 20 to 30 lakhs for the construction of a single or double BHK or a single, I mean, it's nothing but double bedroom, a hall and a kitchen. For that room, for that house, you require this much amount. Okay. That's the need for us to plan. Like once you start working your plan only, you will be able to know what you need, what you don't need, what are the necessary things, and what are the immediate requirements and what are the later requirements. All those things you'll be able to work out. So planning, it requires in all level of your construction activities. That should start from it should initiate from your first step. That's the first step you have to start in your construction activity. It requires huge time to plan. It's not that just sitting for 1 hour and planning all that. It's not. That's not the truth. That's not practically feasible. I should know like what are the realistic problems near my work site and what happens if it rains on that day. So I have to consider so many number of influencing parameters that's going to affect my construction that I should analyze and I should start working on it and only then I'll be able to come up with a good plan. Managers at all levels need improved techniques at all stages in a project. Define the work to be performed. Develop more realistic schedule and cost estimate based on resources planned to perform the task. Determine whether resources would be applied to achieve to apply to best achieve the time, cost, and technical performance objectives. So, like based upon the resources, you will be able to identify with this resource. I have this much of maybe sand or steel, so I'll be able to complete this level of construction, this level of performance of the construction activities, and furthermore, cost is required. So all those things you can determine. Identify those areas of developing potential delays or cost overruns in time to permit corrective actions. What are the tools required for project management? You have to plan. Nothing but you have to going to manage things. You're going to manage all those construction activities. For that, simply like sitting with a paper and pen, will I be able to manage everything? Will I be able to plan it all? Like sitting with my laptop or my pen paper, can I tell, okay, this is going to be the managing director. Under him, we are going to have so many classifications. So can I just literally tell those are the different types of classifications? Will I be? Will I be able to give it? And I'll be listing out what are the activities. So what are the activity A, B, I'll be listing out. Though I may start with the initial paperwork, but I cannot complete it manually because in construction activities today are very huge. Huge number of activities are required, huge amount of reinforcements, huge amount of design, huge amount of manpower, materials, machinery, so many things are required. Everything cannot be tracked and monitored by hand. So initially we started with our bar charts, like how to like you'll be classifying what are the different types of activities, list of activities and what are being taken place and what are to be taken place. So that started with our bar charts, then with the milestone chart, that is fixing of a deadline for the activity A. I am fixing that this activity A should be completed within 10 days. So this is going to be my milestone. 10 days is going to be my milestone. Next is network diagrams. So we started with the bar chart. You know what a bar chart is. This is going to be your bar chart. You'll be telling that this activity starts from A, B, C. You can give the start and end time, and also after this is your activity A and this is your activity B. You can literally tell that my activity B is going to start during the execution of activity A. So you can fix your start and your deadlines. And after coming out with this, then we came out with a milestone fixing. We'll be fixing a dates with that. And then we started interconnecting all these activities. Our construction activities are all going to be interconnected. So once I complete my earthwork operations only, I'll be able to, from my site clearance, only then I will be able to start with my earthwork operations. Once my earthwork operations are done, only then I'll be able to start my mapping. I'll be starting with my foundation laying. So for that, it is all going to be interrelated. Like once I complete one only, I'll be able to start with the next one. So everything is going to be related. For this, I am in a position to relate my activity A to my activity B. Also to that activity to my next activity. So the succeeding activities, this is the succeeding activity that is always going to be rely on the preceding activities. So this is how I am going to connect all my activities. So for this, we go for two different methods, that is the PERT and the CPM method. And these are the oldest methods, and right now they are not into existence. These are few things. Unitix, less tops, ScanSys are totally outdated and they are not in use. So you don't have any records of that still. But now you have only all this different four different types of classifications. That will be your basically from your bar charts, milestones, and network diagrams. Under network diagrams, you have different categories. That is the PERT and the CPM. So these are the tools that we use for project management. So bar charts. We'll start with the bar charts. They were the first and the foremost invented by Henry Gantt in the year 1900 AD. It is a pictorial representation in two dimensions of a project by breaking it down into number of manageable chunks or activities for planning and control shown on the axis and the durations. It's nothing but you're going to plot a chart. As I told you put so much of theory, you get bored. When you put so much of figures, you get attracted, you get listened to it. For nothing but for the easy understanding and interpretation of the work only, they started with this bar chart. So they'll be listing out what are the time you need as well as the activities. So this is how your bar chart came into practice. Bar charts were later modified to yield the milestone charts. So next is the network methods. Network diagram is an outcome of the improvement of the milestone charts. The network technique is a major advance in the management science. This technique is based on the basic characteristics of all the projects that all work must be done in a well-defined steps. So as I told, once you complete one task, you move on to the next. Basically, you should know what are all the list of activities that are going to be taking place. Only then you will be able to interrelate it, or only then you will be able to link it with one another. You should know like after the terminal or after the end of which activity your next activity is going to start. Once you were aware of this only, you will be able to start with your network methods. So, for example, for completing a foundation, the various steps. So, for completing the foundation, these are the various steps that required. First is the layout, digging, placing sideboards, and your concreting. These are the four major steps for your foundation. So, this is a simple example. So, you should know that after A only, after the first activity, only you can start the second activity. After the second only, you can move on to the third. After the third only, you can go to your final concreting. So, this is the things you can you can interconnect. The network technique exploits their characteristics by representing the steps of the project objective graphically in the form of a network or arrow diagram. So either it is going to be in the form of network, you can connect it in the form of networks like this, or you can go for arrow method. Arrow method is from A to B. I'm going to take an arrow. So which represents, this is also from activity A to activity B. This is how I'm going to go for two different types. One is network or arrow diagrams. So we saw two classifications under our networking methods. That is the PERT and the CPM. PERT, it is nothing but program evaluation and review technique. You can simply call it as PERT. It's nothing but program evaluation and review technique. This PERT system is preferred for those projects or operations which are of non-repetitive nature, which means it is not going to be repeated frequently, or those projects in which precise time determination for various activities cannot be made. So you cannot exactly tell that this activity is going to complete within this day, this particular number of days. For that situation, you go for this program evaluation and review technique. In such projects, management cannot be guided by the past experience. So though you have a number of data, but you cannot conclude that by this day, this much percentage of activities will be taken place. They are referred to as once through operations or projects. So for that particular use, you go for your PERT. Next is your CPM. CPM is nothing but the critical path method. In CPM networks, the whole project consists of a number of clearly recognizable jobs or operations or called activities. So you know what is going to take place. So by knowing you're starting, you can start your network with your CPM. That is a critical path method. You know, your activities are going to take place by so many methods. So I can identify maybe my activities may be like this. So this is my first route, can tell. So it starts with A, goes to B, goes to D directly. That may be my first method. A, B, D. First a second, just I'll name it. So I can take it as A, B, C, and D. In this case, I can tell that this first possible method is going to be my. I can start here and end at D by two means. Either I can go from A, B to D, or I can go to A, C to D. So my second method is going to be A, C, D. So out of this, I am going to identify which is my critical path method. So what is meant by critical, and we'll be seeing what are those things. So we'll start with this CPM, and in our next class, we'll be seeing what are the different things we are going to see in detail. So activities are usually the operations which take time to carry out and on which resources are expended. So how much amount of resources you are expending and the particular time you require to carry out the particular activity. CPM networks are generally used for repetitive type projects or for those projects for which fairly accurate estimate of time for completion of each activity can be made. So when you compare PERT and CPM, you can tell that accurate estimate of time is done using CPM, whereas tentative only is done in PERT. And also here, the resource that you're going to expend it that you know in CPM, in PERT, you are not aware of it. So you can compare. So if I'm giving a question, you will be able to understand like which you have and which method you should follow. So bar charts. A bar chart consists of two coordinate axes, one horizontal that represents the jobs or the activities that to be performed. Each bar represents one specific job or activity of the particular project. So the beginning and end of each bar represents the start and end of the time. So it's nothing but I have a bar chart like this. So this is going to be my start time and this is going to be my end time. Okay, so this is the start and end, and this is my activity. Okay, so this is my activity. The length of the bar represents the time required for the completion of the project or the particular job. So from the start to this time required, that time it may be either 10 days or it may be 11 days. Okay, so this is nothing but the length. This length mention it's nothing but the representation of the time. Mostly it will be in days or weeks. Rarely it goes to months. So we will see an example related to the bar chart. you have a figure which shows the bar chart of the particular project. See, this is a figure. And you have 7 activities here. Activities starts from P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. They are to be performed for its completion. The time durations required for the completion of these activities are 10, 5, 10, 7, 5, 8, and 15. You are matching each activity that particular days. So you're going to tell. For performing the P activity, I require 10 days. So this is my time duration. Time along my x-axis and activities along my y-axis. This is my y and this is my x. So I can tell that here I have the minimum from 5 and the maximum from 15. So I can go for the scale of 5. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to plot all my activities. My activities are, it starts from P. So I'm naming it from P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. I'm plotting it along the Y direction. Now I'm going to plot my bar chart. For this, you have seen P requires 10, which means I'm plotting my P activity from 0 to 10. So this is my 10. Simultaneously, my Q. Q is nothing but 5. It is 5 days. And next is my R. R is again 10 days. Next is yes. Yes is 7 days. T is 5 days. So it is going to be 7. So 7, again 5, again 8, again 15. So these are my different types of activities with the different time duration. Now let us see the description for this particular bar chart. Can I tell that from this bar chart, what can you understand? Can any one of you, can you just give me a small explanation? What do you understand from this bar chart? Do you all agree that activity P and Q are starting simultaneously? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
my activity P and activity Q are it starting simultaneously? Simultaneously means at the same start time it is starting. Yes, can you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after this, what could you say? My Q is ending at 5 days, whereas my P is ending at 10 days. So next, I go to my activity R. My activity R, can I tell that my activity R is starting when my P is in progress? My P is still in progress. See, this is my start date for my activity R. This location, I can still tell that the progress of P itself, I'm going to start my R. Simultaneously, my Q has ended. It has ended here. After ending 5 days only, I'm going to start my R activity. So can I tell that R activity R starts during the progress of P and it starts at the end of the Q activity. Can I give a description like this? So again, for each and every activity, we are going to see the description. So activities P and Q can start simultaneously at 0 time. Both activities are independent. Yes, these both are independent. However, activity Q is completed much earlier than activity P. Yes, Q gets completed first, only then you are getting your P completed. So Q is getting completed earlier than P. Activity R starts only when activity Q is complete. So once when this queue is complete only, your next activity R is going to start. However, activity S is independent of activity R. It starts earlier than R and it is completed earlier. So this is the S activity. Activity S is not depending upon the activity R because R is starting. See, this is the R. R is starting at the 5th date Can you see it is starting at the fifth date, whereas my yes, it is starting at the third day itself. So S is independent of R. It is starting early and it is ending early. Can you see? The finish line for R activity is going to be 15, whereas the finish line for my S activity is going to be 10. So it starts early, ends early. And activity T starts only when activity S is complete. This is my activity T. It starts here and ends here, which means after the completion of S is getting completed here. After this completion of S only, my T activity is starting. And activity U and R can start simultaneously when Q activity is complete. So this is activity U and activity V. This both are starting when activity Q is completed. So this activity Q is completed. So I'm starting it here. And the days are given here. It is 8 days. And when U has been started, when it is in progress only, my V is connected, which means my V depends upon the progress of U. Yes. So this is how you give your explanation. And end of activity V marks the completion of the project. As we told in the previous uh, question, in this question we have given it is 7 activities. You know that V is the end of the seventh activity, and you have the days as 15 days. You know that after constructing your V, that is the last activity at 15th day, your project is going to end. That shows your end of the project. So this is how, when a bar chart is there, you can start understanding what is the particular activity and what are the time required and whether the next activities are connected with the previous activities. So I can tell that Q is independent activity. It is independent to P. But R is depending upon the completion of Q. Like once Q is getting completed only, I'm moving to my R. So it is dependent. So it's nothing but with the simple bar chart, you have so many things to understand from it. This is how your initial bar charts were drawn. Next, we will see another example. A typical small house construction project consists of the following operations along with the time set for its completion. So you have list of serial numbers, that is 14 activities. You have so many operations and so many days. That is the time required for completing that particular operations. So let's see. The first thing is going to be serial number 1. It is survey, design, and layout. You require 3 days. So construction of foundations, you require 5 days. So this is an example. The construction of a superstructure, you require 11 days. For roofing, you require 5 days. Fixing doors and window frames, you require 2 days. Plumbing and house drainage, 3 days. Electrical fittings followed by 3 days. Plastering by 4 days. Flooring, doing the flooring for maybe your tiles laying or your mosaic or your granite wall. For that, you require 4 days. Carpentry work, you require 4 more days. Construction of boundary wall and other minor items that has to be taken care. For that, you require 3 days. Land shaping and clearing, you require 2 days. Whitewashing of the walls and painting of the doors, you require 3 days. So inauguration of the complete structure, you require 1 day. So these are the 14 different activities that has been given with the particular time durations. Now let's see how it is being plotted in the bar chart. The project commences on Wednesday. So this is on Wednesday, 14th October. So assuming 5 working days in a week. Okay, you have to sit and prepare. Take that you have 7 days in a week where you are going to work only 5 working days. So assuming 5 working days in a week, prepare bar chart for the project. So your project, that is the 14 activities have been given in the previous slide. State the assumptions made. Also determine A, that is total time and date of completion of the project. Next is B, expected progress by 10th November. So two questions they have asked. Now you're going to sit and plot this. So I'll teach this example, and later in next class I'll give you a problem to where you have to uh, plot the details in the bar chart. So my activity 1, it is survey, designing and layout. It is 3 days. So I can take a Longsay sheet where I can take it to the landscape mode, and I can have in this way. I can fix that. My activity 3 requires 3 days. Here, each and every small checks represent that it is a single day, because here I am plotting the days. It is Wednesday, Thursday. I am marking the days wise, and next is the date. It is already mentioned in the question. It has been started on 14th October. So I am starting with 14th, which falls on Wednesday. So for that, my activity 1 starts and it ends on 16. So 14, 15, 16, 3 days. For the first activity, I am marking 3 boxes. Okay. Similarly, I am going to do for all different kind of activities. So can you try this now? I know it is plotted here. You can sit and try so that you will be able to relate. Take a screenshot of the slide. Those who are sitting in your laptops or desktops, also please take a screenshot of the slide. People who are working in your mobiles, also take the screenshot of this example too. Also this slide where the bar chart is plotted. You can plot, this is for your reference, you can plot it on a sheet and later you can compare how it has been made. You can compare your own bar chart with this bar chart. Okay. So this X here represents, it is nothing but Saturdays and Sundays where you don't work. That's nothing but you have two X's next boxes. So it's nothing but Saturday and Sundays. You can also plot that. So you have all your tenures here. So the next activity is construction of foundations. It requires 5 days. So I am starting with Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, I'm done with my surveying, layouts and something. And for the second thing, I'm starting with my foundation work. So Saturday, Sunday falls as a holiday. And I'm starting my work on Monday and finishing by Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have 5 days. So my foundation is done. Next is going to be the construction of superstructure. That takes 11 days. Where it is starting, that you have to mark it. Okay. You can take a snap of this. Take a screenshot of it. This is just for your practice. Okay. So shall I move on to the next slide? Yes, shall I move on to the next slide? So this is nothing but example, the description for that particular activity. So I'll tell this description one by one. I got time to tell this. Yeah, next class. So you can take the description also as a screenshot so that you can sit and compare both. As we saw in the first example, you had a description, you understood what is from that particular bar chart, and similarly, you can take this example two's description. You can sit and compare after which activity or which activity is starting, or which activity is starting concurrently. So I'll take this example. Activity 4 and activity 5 can start concurrently, but not only after activity 3 is over, which means my activity 4 and activity 5 are starting simultaneously. It is starting at the end of 3. So when you take a screenshot of this, you can sit and compare. You can understand what the bar chart is. Take a screenshot of this particular slide as well as the next slide. This slide also. If you want, like once this class is over, I'll post this slides there. You can find it there as well. Yeah. So next, after this, you can understand like how you are calculating your activities. So which activities will be completely over, that you can identify. Also, and which activities you have time to be completed, that you can understand. So they have asked you two questions. Till 30th November, how many days are there? Like how many days it is working. So you can identify that 48 days. So you can plot everything in the bar chart and you can analyze how many working days has been taken place and how much activities has been completed. Okay. So this we will see in the next class. Let me stop here. Do you have any doubts?